Welcome back to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl Kiki Reader, and we're going to do a book that is a part of a series, and that series is called Second Chances. But each of the books can also be done as standalones. The author's name is M. Farmer, and the name of the book that we're going to review today is called Summer with a Star. We meet Tasha Pike, who has saved for over 20 years to rent out the Summerberry Beach Victorian home, and the name of the home is called the Sand Dollar Mansion. She's loved this place ever since she was a child, and she would come to Summerberry in the summer with her family. So she lives in Portland, Maine, and she's been coming here since she was like around 10ish. Tasha is a second grade teacher, and she was just dumped by her boyfriend that she's had for like 13 years, and his name's Brad Jameson. So Brad's family, they have a beach house in this town as well, and this is where she met him when she was younger. So she found out Brad was cheating on her a few months ago. Of course, she's heartbroken, but apparently everybody knew he was a cheater, but she found out because she walked in on him with the redhead. So she needs this 2-month vacation in her dream home. So when she gets there, she sees her best friend Jenny, who's a real estate agent. She sees her on the phone yelling at somebody, and she's thinking like, well, first of all, why is she even here? And we find out what has happened. So someone has rented the mansion from out under her for the whole summer. And she, of course, is heartbroken because she had to put in like maybe 3 years ago the reservation just to get the whole summer. Spencer Ellis is a movie star, and his agent Yvonne is the person that was able to maneuver and get this for her client. And so he apparently needed to get away, clear his head or whatever, and she got him this place. So, of course, Tasha's, she has a strong reaction to the situation because, you got to think, if you've saved for something for 20 years and it's like, this is the summer that you're going to be able to do it, and you get told that has got to be crushing. Spencer sees her, and he has this, he's attracted to her. She has curves. She's beautiful, no makeup. Like, to him, this is like, this is perfection for him. So he's happy to see her, but he also realizes and can see how really upset she is with the situation. So then he comes up with the idea, like, well, why can't we just share it? It's a 6-bedroom mansion, And at first she's like, no. But then Jenny was like, listen, you've saved all this time. Like, why not? And so she decides to stay. She has a little conversation with Spencer. He, of course, offered, he's like, I'll move, my room because the one I have has a really great view, but I'll give it to you if you want. And she's like, no, don't worry about it. There's plenty of rooms here. I'll find one with a good view. She gives a little backdrop as to why she loves the house so much, which is when she was really young, her and her brother and friends, they had got caught in a rainstorm and came up to this house, and I think they're the Carboneros is the name, or the Cavaneros, I can't remember, are the owners of the house, older couple, and they had them come inside, and when she went inside, she absolutely fell in love with the house. And so from then on, it was like this lifelong dream of her wanting to come and stay there. He wants to talk to her about him as well, but she reads off his credentials from the internet, and he's like, he doesn't like when people do that. And then she kind of felt bad for doing it, but he's like, you know what, don't worry, you got plenty of time to get to know me. So he leaves, and his agent calls him, and she's all like, do you want me to get her out of there? He's like, no. And the agent's like, don't do anything stupid. And he made the comment that he liked her, and she's like, don't do anything stupid. And he's like, don't worry about me. Just don't do anything. It's fine. So they go a couple days. She kind of tries to avoid him. And so he goes into town one day, sees her at the crab shack. I think it's called Pete's Crab Shack or something like that. Spencer gets some looks, because it's kind of like that. Okay, that looks like, this movie star, but that can't possibly be him in this small town. The cashier, though, did ask him, like, are you Spencer Ellis? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And walks off. So he eats his lobster roll, and she decides to be nice to him, which I was like, you should, because he hasn't done anything to her. Um, he hasn't been intimidating to her, mean to her. So it's like, I don't understand why you're trying to avoid him. That doesn't make sense. But that's what she was doing, and I think she felt stupid, and she was just kind of like, you know what? There's no need for me to be like this. So he asked her, what do you, do in this town? Like, and she's like, well, what do you want to do? Like touristy things, or do you want to do like what the locals do? He's like, you know what? A little bit of both. So they're going to get tandem bikes and ride around and have a little adventure. So then they go to the ice cream shop. He gets recognized, and she was going to leave him there, but he didn't want to be stuck there. He wanted to ride back with her, but he winds up taking the bike back himself. He said it was because he was going to pay for the other half of the bike rental. And so he took it back, and then he waited for her at the house. Tasha finally makes it back to the house. He apologizes for what happened at the ice cream shop, which really wasn't anything for him to apologize for. He just got recognized by a bunch of people, and they wanted, autographs and pictures. Really was a lot of pictures they wanted. And I think somebody got some ice cream on her or something, but it's like, that's not that big of a deal. I'm sorry. It's just not. It really isn't. She did talk to him a little bit, but she's still kind of being like brushy off with him. And it's because of her issues that he's a star, and like she doesn't have that confidence in herself. And we kind of find out with that relationship she was in, kind of got beat down a little bit. So not a lot of confidence, and here you have this movie star that you're around. Spencer decides he's going to do something really nice for her. So he was like, you know what, he'll start making dinner. So she comes in because she starts smelling this amazing food. And they have a nice dinner, have good conversation. We find out with him, he's known for doing like these big blockbuster action films. He wants to branch out, do something different. And there's this possible TV show that he's looking at. He's even thought about doing Broadway, even though he can't sing. He actually just loves the craft of acting. But he doesn't like the world of Hollywood. So then she tells the story of Brad, which is basically, she thought it was going to be this relationship that they were going to get married. And she walked in on him with a redhead, and then finds out from her different, I don't know, friends, associates, that apparently they've been trying to kind of tell her stuff, but she wasn't necessarily trying to listen to it. So when I hear that, I don't really feel sorry for you, because that kind of means you probably saw signs and you chose not to look at it. So then it's on you of how long you stay in bullshit, right? Like, he's trash, but if a person shows you they're trash, like, you already know that, But if you turn your nose to it, and not turn your nose, but if you turn a blind eye to it, I can't fully feel sorry for you if you get hurt, because you didn't want to, look at it. So I guess like they were trying to tell her, but I don't know if she just wasn't catching on, or she just didn't want to look at it. So she wound up being in some bullshit for 13 years. That's a waste. But he clearly didn't waste time, because he was getting no different people, He's good. But she had this, theory, this thought process in her head that they were going to be together, and it sucked how she had to walk in on him with someone, and then he tried to blame her, and was just kind of like, well, it's not like you didn't know, right? Like that type of dude. So he clearly was just awful, and the way that her confidence was lets me know he didn't talk to her the best, because you wouldn't have that low of a confidence. Some people do have that, but normally that comes from someone you've allowed to make you feel like you're not worthy. And again, if you come from somewhere where you're just in a long term relationship, this person cheats on you, and then here you are in front of a movie star, you're not going to have the most confidence. You're just not going to have it. That was my little mini rant with that. So then after she tells the story, she looks super sad. He kisses her. And of course, it threw her for a loop, but she liked it. Conversation with Jenny, and Jenny basically is like, girl, why are you not hitting that? You're single. He appears to be single. Have some fun on your vacation. And she was like, she found him attractive, but I guess in her brain that was just so far fetched, like that could ever happen. But it's like he kissed you. There's some attraction there. I would think to play with that. That would be a very fun summer. What is it the saying? Like, it's wrong, I think, but it sounds good when they say the best way to get over a dude is to get under a new one. And I kind of feel like she should do that, because the last guy was just so crappy. But you got to remember, she doesn't feel like she's good enough. Confidence is shit, So you have that horrible situation with Brad. She's still reeling from that. But she does decide she's going to be nicer to him. And so they go to the beach. They're having a great time playing in the water. Paparazzi shows up, ruins the moment, and his mood changes. And, she's like, we shouldn't let that stop us from having fun. But his thought process was pictures, getting out, and then her having to deal with stuff that she shouldn't have to. So it was more so a concern for her. On top of the fact he's not crazy about paparazzi anyway. For the next couple of days, he's kind of a hermit. Doesn't really want to leave the house. And she's just like, are you really going to let that photographer keep you, from enjoying the island, the beach, And he again told her, his concern, what he was thinking, which was his concerns were more about her. And she just kind of was like, yeah, it'll happen. And when they don't see me anymore, they'll know, like, there's nothing else to talk about, It's not a big deal. So then they're going to do this puzzle, like this 1,000-piece puzzle. And there's all this sexual tension. And it gets to a peak. So after enough flirting, little things back and forth, he winds up kissing her again. Of course, the girl has never been kissed like this. And he asks, can we take this upstairs? And so they do. He eats her pussy, fingers her, makes her come so hard. And she, of course, was like, she'd never come that hard in her life. And they fucks her so properly that she's spent and she's beyond satisfied. And that lets you know that douchebag that she was with couldn't fuck her good. That's all. So I'm like, he wasn't the best lover probably for her. And he was a piece of shit. It's just like, and you a piece of shit. It's a hell of a combination. So she, of course, is very happy after this session. So the next night he takes her out to dinner. They get there, and while they're at the table, Brad's brother Chip walks up with his girl, and it's like, oh, I thought I saw something about you hooking up with a movie star. I didn't believe it was true. And then he pretty much goes in on the girl, and it's like, is that why you broke up with my brother? Because you had something else going on? And she was like, your brother was cheating on me. And he goes, you didn't seem to mind before. So what's the change? I was like, damn. Seems like it might be a family of assholes. So Spence goes off on him and let him know the person that was cheating is the person that's the jerk. She's the victim. And he's like, whatever, and all this type of stuff. And of course it made her feel bad again to remember, how she got played. Just dampened her confidence. And that's fucked up. After she had been royally fucked. And then right back to feeling like shit. So awful. Spence, of course, was like, but we're going to turn this frown upside down. So he wants to have fun when they go back to the house. So the next day, him and Tasha are having a good time. He's downstairs about to cook, and his publisher, not publisher, his agent calls him. Publicist. Why am I saying publisher? Ha, writing. His publicist calls him, and she's like, I'm seeing a lot of stuff online, and you need to get rid of her. She's just a teacher. But I have an actress named Marissa that will be great for your image. And he's like, I don't care about that, you know. But you got to remember Yvonne, Yvonne, she's a publicist. Like, image is her job, nothing else. So she's not going to be the most caring person to somebody that he likes, She's just looking at the optics, and she doesn't like the optics. So to her, we need to change it. Tasha heard some of that conversation, which didn't help because your girl already got low self-esteem. And her brain, of course, starts doing the whole, he doesn't want to be with me, he's a movie star, X, Y, and Z. I knew I didn't deserve anything like this. So she gets a package from Jenny. Jenny sent her some sexy lingerie. So she decides she's going to put it on and she's going to try to surprise him. And she's going to try and be what she thinks he deserves. She goes upstairs, changes into the lingerie, comes down. At first, he's kind of like going along with it. But then it was just kind of like, because of the stuff she was saying, it just sounded really weird coming from her. And he wanted her to know, like, I don't need that. Like, he knew what she was doing. He knew that she had heard the end of the conversation. And so he needed her to understand, like, that's not what I need you to be. That's not what I even want you to be, So a couple days later, Tasha goes to the beach by herself. She's reading. Paparazzi comes up to her. This guy starts asking her these different questions about her and Spencer. Even offers her like $500. She's like, get away from me. She won't answer any of the questions. She comes back to the house. Yvonne's there. And she is just rude as ever. She tells her basically, how it's going to be. And that, she set it up for her to have the beach house, the mansion, the next summer, free of charge. She's going to try and get her a refund for this, the money she paid for this summer. Basically just wanting her to leave. And Tasha realizes, this is the bitch that fucked up my vacation. But I'm like, did she really? Because you're there with a whole sexy ass man. I don't know if that's a fuck up. I'm just saying. So Spence comes home. He's pissed because he didn't want to see Yvonne. And he already knows what she's there for and what she's going to say and what she's going to try and do. So he goes upstairs, take a shower, and Yvonne basically lets, him know, I can get rid of that problem if you want me to. But he lets her know that it's not going to happen. Like, leave her alone. Because she wants him with someone famous. And he's just like, stop. Which to me, I get that that's her thing. But at the same time, I get it. I got to look at it, I guess, exactly from that publicist's point of view. They literally only care about your image. So if she's got to try and, tell the public who this person is, or, if there's any bad press, try and fix it. She doesn't want to have to do that. It would be a little easier for her to just have him with someone who's high profile, and it just kind of works itself out a little bit better for her. I get it, but I don't know. She's so fucking mean. She is so mean. So they go and take a walk on the beach, Spence and Tasha, and she runs into one of her kids that was in her class this past school year, and her family stand in one of the beach houses, and the little girl Heather, she loves her. They spend some time with her. She talks with the parents, and Spence goes and plays with the little girl. Beautiful little moment. They get back, and Yvonne's coming out, and she's saying she's on her way to New York because her other client Simon's going through some stuff, and she needs to get there and see about him. But she wants to talk to Tasha before she leaves. So her and Tasha have a conversation, and she basically lets her know that this relationship it's just not gonna work. You know, it can't be serious. It can't really go beyond this moment. Yvonne is basically like, I'm just trying to save you some heartache. And lets her know it'll just be kind of best if you go ahead and you leave now. You know? She told her, I can tell he really likes you, but this is not going to work out. You're not from his world, and you're not made for it. And it's fucked up because these are all the thoughts she's already had about herself, and it's almost like somebody confirming that for her. So it's like, damn it, this is not going to help the situation. But at the same time, it was like, yeah, but she does realize that he likes you too, Like, you got to look at it from all angles. Don't just hold on to one part. Like, look at it, look at it fully. So Yvonne leaves, and she does tell them, well, before she leaves, she says, she'll do something about the paparazzi issue. And then afterwards, they go upstairs. They have this nice, hot, erotic fuck session. Come to find out, girl likes it a little rough. And he was like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't want to be too rough with you. She didn't even know she liked it. Again, which means your ex was not fucking you right. Poor girl. They now have bodyguards. And it does freak her out. But it has not stopped their sex fest. She goes to the bathroom and she's met by someone. And it's Simon. He's also a movie star. And that's the person that Yvonne was supposed to go and be checking on in New York. And he saw her naked. She freaked out. Spencer comes running in, and she, of course, feels out of place. Like, she's in, but like, there's two movie stars right now, They go downstairs, and Spence and Simon are talking about the party in New York. They're talking about the roles in this possible pilot show called Second Chances. And she again fell out of place. She checks her phone. She sees there's a bunch of messages from Jenny, just, trying to see if she was okay. And she hadn't responded like the past 2 days. And so Jenny came over to the house. Security wasn't going to let her in. And then finally they let her in. And Tasha's friend Jenny, she comes in. And she meets Simon. And, of course, Tasha's thinking this cannot be good. Because she saw the way that Jenny was looking at Simon. So Simon's just a whole whirlwind. He's a lot. And him and Jenny, there is a spark there. It's been a couple days. They're outside having breakfast. And Tasha's getting concerned. Because she could tell that Jenny is smitten with this man. And he clearly is somebody that has a lot of stuff going on. And she, of course, doesn't want to see her friend get hurt. So she's looking at Simon very suspiciously. So they decide they're going to go off and have a day of them all together. They go to the beach. They get a lot of attention. But Simon's someone that welcomes the attention. He likes that, Whereas Spence shies away from it. She also notices how Jenny fits in with Simon. Like, they look really good together. So those insecurities are even more so, which I kind of feel like is a little jealousy, because I feel like she wishes she could be the person that looks like they would be next to a movie star. And the girl probably is, beautiful. But you have people that are beautiful, they don't think they are. She's probably one of those types. And because this other person's blonde, that typical type of beauty to certain people, it probably, there's an insecurity there. But is it a little bit of a jealousy? Because it's like she looks good with her guy and I don't. So that kind of makes me look at Tasha sideways as well, because that means there's some resentment you have. Like, Jenny's super outgoing. She goes for what she wants. Now, if you're concerned, like, okay, this is a player and I'm concerned about my friend because he's a player, I get that, right? I understand that. That makes sense. But if it's some other stuff, I'm like, girl, that's not going to be cute. So that was my little mini rant. So the only thing that we really get out of Simon is kind of why he's there. Yvonne needed him to get a change of scenery. And she also sent him there because she wants to keep an eye on what's going on between Tasha and Spence. And she wants Simon to convince him to do the show, the TV pilot for Second Chances. And so I don't get why he won't do it. I mean, he says he wants to do something different. Um, this character is one that he would want to play. There's potential for it to be shot on the East Coast, which would put him a little, closer to Tasha, because she lives in Portland, Maine. So I'm just trying to figure out why he isn't committing to it. So the next morning, Simon's just about to leave, and Spence catches him, and he's like, "You're not just about to walk out and just leave the girl," because him and Jenny had fucked that night before. And he's like, "I'm going to be truthful with you. Yvonne sent me here to try and convince you to do the part, and also to convince you to let Tasha go." He's like, "But I really like her for you." And Spencer's like, "Yeah, I like her too. I love her." And so Simon's like, "Yeah, I know. I can see it. Anyone around you can see it." And he's like, "It's really nice here. I get why you love it." And he likes Jenny. He feels great with her, but he's got a lot of stuff going on. And so we find out that when Yvonne got to New York, he had a bunch of escorts there and a bunch of blow. He's about to do it. So he's got a lot of crap going on, and he doesn't want to pull Jenny into his shit. But this is where I get mad at people. If you know you don't want to pull people into your stuff, why the fuck do you even bother them? What is the purpose? You can fuck anybody, right? What is the purpose of fucking with somebody that you could tell is a good person? I guess I always say bad people like good people, right? They don't want to be around other bad people, And he might not be fully bad, but it's just the idea that you got shit going on. You can kind of see this person is different. Like, don't fuck with them, I get that people like to have good people in their life, but if you know you don't mean them any good, just leave them alone. Simple as that. So he's going to leave. Not Simon. Spence does try to kind of tell him, don't do it. At least tell the girl bye. But he's just kind of like, it's better if I do it this way. And so Tasha comes downstairs, and her reaction pissed me the fuck off. Because she was like, "Who just left? Was that Simon?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, why didn't you stop him?" And he's like, "I can't stop him. He's a grown man." And she's like, "But he just slept with Jenny. They slept together last night. That's so wrong for him to leave. That's like, is that what you all do?" She turned it into this thing about him. And like, is that what you all do? You just want to put your dick in a hole? I mean, she went off on him. And that pissed me off because he has not shown you any fucking thing that will make you think he's a garbage type of dude. He hasn't. You knew when you saw Simon that he was a mess, which means Jenny knew when she saw him he was a mess. And she still made a choice to lay down with him. So why the fuck are you going after, why are you going after such a good person? You didn't have this fucking energy for Brad. You didn't have this fucking energy for his brother. But you're going to do that on a good person? I don't like when people do shit like that. I don't like when people do that to good people. Because it's like, you don't have this type of energy for shit people. But you want to be all this and that with a good person? That makes me feel like you don't even deserve him. You know what I mean? Like, no, maybe you need to believe the bullshit in your head. And you don't deserve him. Because he was wrong for that. But he got her straight. And he said, "I'm not Brad. So don't come at me like that. I didn't do anything wrong. I can't force that man to do something. I can tell him, hey, you should do X, Y, and Z. But he's an adult. He does what he wants. Just like they're adults and they did what they wanted to do." And she felt stupid. And I was like, she should have. Because that was trash. Like, your friend knew that man was a whore. So Tasha's just a broken at this point. She really is. And she needs to work through those issues, or she's going to keep making those same mistakes. Because honestly, at this point with her, she probably would have found another dude that would have been like Brad, and she probably would have fell into it again. Because her reaction is like the opposite of what it should be. She gets a good dude and she kind of shits on him. You know what I'm saying? Because she feels like all men are trash. But I feel like if it was like a no good dude, she wouldn't spot it out. because she's still a little broken, you know? But it's like you have to deal with that shit or you'll just keep repeating the pattern. Or you'll fuck up something that's actually really good because you're still stuck on past shit, you know? So the moral of the story is to work through your shit. Jenny comes downstairs. She's looking for Simon. They tell her, she's gone. She's like, they're like, he's gone. And she's like, well, when is he coming back? And they're like, we don't know. And you can see the hurt on her face, but she's like, oh, okay. Well, she gave him her card. So she's like, she's sure he's called. So she's still in a little la la land about it either. But you know what? If that's where she want to be, that's where she wants to be. However, at the same time, when he's ready to talk to her, maybe he will come back and he'll talk to her, and that'll work, So Spence and Tosh later on are doing a puzzle. Her mind's not really in it. She's still thinking about other stuff, obsessing over the situation between Jenny and Simon, because of course it made her think about Brad. So she's having all these thoughts, and he was trying to help her clear her mind. She's getting upset about him trying to clear her mind. Luckily, someone came to the door. Some kids. They are doing a contest, and they want her to be, both of them to be one of the judges. She had one of the kids' sibling a few years ago in her class. So they go to the event, have a good time. She's different when she's in her element. There's an air of confidence to her when she's around children and she's in the teaching type of arena, because she knows she's good at that. She knows she can do it, but her brain she doesn't fit in the world of celebrities, movie stars. She doesn't fit in that. So therefore there's no confidence in it. Right. They come back to the house. Yvonne's back. And she's basically trying to get him to commit to the show, Second Chances. She gives him the mail. Yvonne really is into everything. Tasha had her student list mailed to her because she had told him that she wasn't going to be online this summer. And so they mailed it to her. And she's got like 2 weeks left. So later on, him and Tasha are having a discussion. And she tells him, honestly, it sounds like it'll be a really good part for you. You want to do something that's different. This seems like it's for you. Like, why are you having such a problem committing to it? And so he has a conversation with Yvonne later on that night. And Yvonne's like wanting to know if he's going to sign on. And he's like, okay, I just got a couple of stipulations, like, where is it going to be filmed? And she's like, maybe the New England area. They were even talking about, possibly 30 minutes away from here. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, if they can do that, I'll commit to doing it. So he's going to sign on. And if he does, so will Simon. Because Simon had also told him, if you sign on to do this, I'm going to do it too. So 2 birds, 1 stone. So then he kind of lets her know that he loves, well, not kind of, he lets her know that he does love Tasha and he wants to marry her. She, of course, is like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait, that's too much, Do you even know if that's what she wants, And he's just thinking of, like, the fact that she's the woman for him. He knows it. And he was going to go upstairs and tell her. They, of course, wind up having this nice, sensual, hot fuck. And he tells her he loves her. And he's thinking about the fact that, he hopes to be able to do this one day without a condom. So they have no barriers. And, he wants to have a bunch of kids with her. Like, he's just fully fucking it, And she doesn't say, I love you back. She actually tenses up when he says it. So in her head, she's thinking, she knows she loves him, but she can't say it. She goes downstairs. Yvonne's still there. They have a conversation, and Yvonne's trying to kind of figure out if she really loves him, or if this is just some type of summer, some summer fling. Of course, loves him, but at the same time, it's kind of like a fish and a bird, like they love each other, but where are they gonna live? That's how it looks. So she goes for a walk, and later Spence comes down. He goes after her. They have this whole blowout on the beach, and she basically tells him, she can't be with him. Like, they live in two different worlds. She doesn't fit into his, and he's not going to be happy in hers. And he let her have it because he was like, no, this is you being afraid of what this could be. And he was just like, you're trying to make me pay for what Brad did to you, and that's not fair. You need to let that shit go and allow yourself to feel, this emotion, And at the same time, it's like she made this comment let me say it like this. She made this comment to him about, him just basically being like just this movie star bubblehead. It was kind of like a comment like that. And he was like so hurt by the comment because he was like, so nothing's changed. She's like, you see me the same way you did when you first met me. And he was like, I thought you really saw me. Shout out to the author for writing it the way she did, because you felt it. It was so sad, because it was like the idea of someone you thinking knowing you and understanding you, and them making a comment to let you know they never really saw you. That's hurtful as fuck. Especially in his case, he loves the girl. You know what I mean? I felt bad for him. But he still felt like he wanted to fight for the love. So I'm like, all right, go for it. So his plan entails that he's going to ask her to marry him. And he's going to set up this scene on the pier. He's getting help from people in the community. Beautiful scene, live quartet music playing, white lights lining on the pier. Beautiful. So he takes her there. She, of course, is like, this is too much. She tells him no. He's crushed. He's trying to like convince her how much he loves her and everything. And she feels like she doesn't deserve this. Like this is like something from a movie. Like, I don't deserve anything this perfect. And it's kind of like she's not in that space to receive it, And so even after all the beautiful things that he said to her, she couldn't say yes. She couldn't do it. Let me say it correctly. She didn't want to take the risk of it not working out and then it, tainting what they had together. But I'm like, are you about to taint it already with the bullshit? And I do kind of feel like I know he was trying to make her feel special and seen and that she deserved the world. But she doesn't appear to be someone that needs that, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe not go so grandioso. I felt like they could have maybe kept in contact with each other while he was doing this movie, kind of to show her that he was still, he's into this, he's trying. I don't know. Because the grandioso did not work with her. You kind of got to know your audience. And for him to be an actor, he didn't know his audience too good. So she goes back to the house. She's beating herself up. She's crying, all this crap. It was a beautiful proposal, but again, to her, it was just too perfect. Again, it was something that she doesn't feel she deserves. That's sad for a person to view it and view life that way. That's so sad. She runs into Yvonne. Yvonne basically makes her admit as to what's wrong with her. And basically it's the fear that it's going to be what happened. Hold on. What's going to happen is all the press is going to come after him, saying horrible things about her, thinking that, she's the bottom of the barrel. And all these things are going to be said about her. And clearly this is the shit that she's internalized from Brad, right? And then she's gonna walk in on him with a redhead, and then boom, it hits her. She's still not letting go of that Brad shit, And basically she's gonna make every man pay for that. That's not him. And Yvonne points out to her, listen, you saved for 20 years to have something that was your dream. You're a fighter. Why are you not fighting for this? This man loves you. You clearly love him. Why are you not fighting? And then it kind of ding, 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 kind of clicks to her like, damn, like, I'm fucking up, because I'm allowing something from my past to like keep me from moving forward. So she's decided now she's gonna fight. So the next morning he goes to her room because he slept in a different room. He doesn't see her, freaks out a little bit because he thinks her stuff. He doesn't see her stuff, so he starts to panic. Goes outside, sees her with a pink bag. He's thinking she's leaving, and she's like, "I'm not leaving. I'm just taking the trash out." He done said all this beautiful stuff to her again, about how much he loves her and all this grandiose stuff. We can make this work. And the girl's like, I'm not leaving. And so she just, she does tell him she's going to marry him. They fast forward a couple months and she goes to her first premiere with him. And she looks gorgeous, beautiful moment. And so they're going to have their little happily ever after. It was a sweet little read. I liked it. I wouldn't have been mad if she had said no, but still wanted to do the relationship, because I do feel like they needed, some time and strength in their relationship, because you're not automatically just healed all of a sudden because somebody else loves you. So I would have been okay with that outcome as well. Just the whole idea of her still being willing to try and been a triumph. But they're engaged, and so it ended that way. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm not going to review the other books in the Second Chances series, but if you guys want to check those out, you now have the first story under your belt, so feel free to check those out. I'm going to read them on my own time because I do kind of want to know, how it, what happens with Jenny and Simon and what his real demons are. I just kind of want to know that, why are you taking blow? So I'm going to read those. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you are in the market for a beautiful notebook or journal, I do have those on sale. That link's going to be available down in the description section as well. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, I truly do thank you all for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.